Welcome back to an exciting show. Kyrie hits a left-handed hook shot over our theme to win the game. Ends the night with 24 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists while playing 40 minutes. Dame later tweeting, Kyrie is the most skilled player ever. Well, hyperbole or straight up? You want to take this literally?
I think he means it literally because we've heard it before. Was it Chauncey Billups said it? Jay Williams has said it, former Duke player and an NBA player. Kyrie is in the discussion for skill. I mean, we're talking about passing ability, shooting ability, ball handling ability. That's generally what you think of when you think of skill.
Right, and can I ask you a question on that? And do you think it is also graded on a curve related to how big how big and naturally athletic you are? Meaning, like you are almost penalized. I think the fact that Kyrie's not the biggest leaper and he's not tall, I think that adds to what people think of his skill quotient of it.
Well, this is what, and you guys may have heard me say this before. Kyrie is an icon. Like he's going to be a legend. And his legend's going to be above his accomplishments.
Correct.
Now, you guys know I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer and all that. But some people, I think a lot of people most people wouldn't have him as a top 10 point guard ever.
No.
And unless they, win another ring or something like that, he probably doesn't get in there. But his legend, I think, is like Pistol Pete Maravich, who is, viewed as a legend. And I think Kyrie's going to be that because he's the best ball handler ever. Some people think he's the best finisher. As far as skills, I think I would put Steph ahead of him because he's a better ball handler than Steph.
But I think Steph can be top 10.
Ever. Right. Yeah. Steph is definitely top 10, maybe top 5. Steph is obviously a better shooter. I think Steph's a better passer. Kyrie's never averaged even 7 assists a game. And Steph's averaged 8.5 assists and 7 assists some years. So I got Steph ahead of him. I would put Isaiah Thomas, the legend, ahead of him. And then I think, and these guys are all with Kyrie in the same class. I got to throw Steve Nash, and Chris Paul in there too. Yeah. Just skill. And so I think Kyrie's in that group. But I would probably put Steph and Isaiah ahead of him.
So that kind of speaks to my point that skill is also synonymous for little. Because
because they're point guards.
They're point guards
who are going to dribble and pass better.
So the last time we had this conversation, I took it in an honest but negative direction, which is okay. If this is true, then his career is a massive underachievement. Mm-hmm. If he's the most skilled ever and has made 0 first-team All-NBAs, 1 second team, 2 third teams,
a lot of that could be
injuries and all of that. But that's not what I want to do today because I have to give Kyrie credit. Since the Mavs traded for him, and I said, I think understandably, okay, they're just, keeping their fingers crossed. We get the best version of him. They've gotten the best version of him. There have been no incidents. You know what I mean? He has been used his public platform only for good. You know what I mean? Not for division. And he had always used it for good in a lot of ways, but also had some stuff that he wanted back. And yesterday was the 19th straight game he's played, which is the longest consecutive game streak he has had since the Cavs won the title in 2016.
That's telling.
No, but that
tells you why he hasn't made more of those teams.
But it also speaks to the fact that this is the best version of Kyrie you can get. You're getting all the good, none of the bad. He's never going to be a 75-game-a-year guy. He was early in his career and hasn't been since then. Since he left the Cavs, he's played more than 60 games once. And this year, if he plays every game the rest of the year, he'll finish at 60. But he's playing really well. His teammates do seem to adore him. I understand the Mavs as a team are underachieving a bit, it feels. It's hard to put a lot of that at Kyrie's feet. I still think for the Mavs, was the trade smart? Is that how you build out a team? Those things I don't necessarily agree with. But the Mavs being a little disappointing, I'm not putting on Kyrie. And I just do want to add, because I remember being a little kid and being amazed by when this happened. I remember being a little kid and watching Hakeem Olajuwon in the NBA playoffs. And it was a day game. And they talked about how it was during Ramadan. And he had to just put the water on his body and legs. Kyrie doing this while fasting is all, you know what I mean, all the more impressive and should be acknowledged. So,
before we move on, Hubs, can I just show, or can you show the shot one more time? Because, the question for you is, the fact that this was a left-handed 20-foot hook shot Do you think that he has, like, he's like, oh, I'm going to go to this. And yeah, Luka being stunned that he's never seen it.
Luka's reaction is maybe my favorite part.
Does anyone else have this in their game?
Well,
Never mind, like,
I don't know
winner.
if we would. First of all, I don't think that was Kyrie's plan. I think he planned on getting away from Jokic and throwing up a jumper, but Jokic stayed with him. And so he just put up. Now, I don't know that I'd say that's in his bag. Like, he's going, that's a regular shot he's doing.
It is.
But he's so skilled that he could put it up and made it. But I don't expect to start seeing that shot every few games from Kyrie.
Should. Hook shot, underrated. Take a look at the odds to win the West. Denver, obviously, at number 1. Look at Bruce Clippers at 2.
That's a bit. Remember the advice I gave America about the Caleb Williams bet? The opposite advice on this one.
Thunder, Suns, Wolves, and then the Mavs at 6, but they are ahead of the Lakers and the Warriors. So, Nick, you were once in love with the Mavs.
They were your pick last year, right?
Last year, last year they were my pick. Yep.
Are they legit contenders?
Let me put it like this. Brew, you weren't here for Friday's title pie. Can we show Brew what he missed for Friday's title pie?
He didn't have a pie,
The Mavs had a 2% slice.
Is that them next to the orange?
Yeah, next to the Knicks. They had a 2% slice. So in the West, they were behind the Clippers, Timberwolves, Thunder, Lakers, Suns, and obviously the Nuggets. I'm certainly ready to move them ahead of Phoenix. I'm certainly ready to move them ahead of the Clippers. I think I might be ready to move them ahead of the Timberwolves. And we'll discuss the Thunder and Lakers. I do think because of Luka's devastating in a positive way playoff reputation and Kyrie right now looking like, you keep your fingers crossed, he'll be healthy come the postseason. They're a team people do not want to see, and they've won 4 of 5, Brew, and the one they lost, Luka didn't play, and it was against the Thunder. So they're playing well as opposed to a team like the Clippers or the Suns, who have another weird, like, head-scratching loss this week, and I know we'll get into. So it is the Nuggets and everybody else, but it is hard to make an argument, in my opinion, that there is any team in the West that has a drastically greater shot, other than Denver, obviously, more than the Mavs do right now.
I'll be more direct.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you.
All right? Now, contender, like, they won't win the West.
Well, then, can I?
But I'll say, spoiler to what you were saying, they could spoil, like, a team ahead of them, a higher seeds postseason.
Well, right, but hold on.
They could spoil somebody's postseason.
Are there any contenders other than the Nuggets in the West?
Yes, because I'm just saying, if you force me to, like, think of other teams, should something happen to.
You're saying they could spoil the Thunder.
They could spoil the Thunder.
Right, but then are the Thunder
If Minnesota's healthy, I don't know that I put them ahead of Minnesota.
But if this question said, are the Timberwolves
I think the Clippers are contenders.
So if this said, are the Clippers legit contenders?
Yeah, I would say yes.
Okay, I think the Mavs are better than the Clippers.
The thing that's going to haunt the Mavs is no defense.
Right?
Hard. And Kyrie and Luka can beat any team once.
Yeah, thank you.
Because they're so great offensively.
Yeah,
but 7-game series with that lack of defense, your 2 best players not putting forth that much effort on defense, I don't think like I said, they're not a contender to win the West. They are spoiler.
That's good. Did you like the style of play? Maybe I should just ask Brew.
Okay.
Brew, do you like the Mavs style of play? At the end of that game, Denver's moving the ball around, and then it's like, well, Luka stepped back and takes a miracle shot to win the game. They're just the Mavs ball, heliocentric style of
I don't
play.
think you can win that. We haven't seen anybody win that way. A better player, as great as Luka is, better players than him haven't won that way. And so I think, like, it's a lot of Luka's turn, Kyrie's turn.
No, and by the way,
and that's not going to win.
I don't necessarily like that style of play. I think that Luka has been pulled into the James Harden, like, Helios. But the difference is Harden, every year of his career, got markedly worse in the playoffs. And Luka, every year of his career, has gotten markedly better in the playoffs. And the other thing that I will say is, last year was a disaster for the Mavs. There's no doubt about it. We'll see what this year is. The Mavs have never played beneath their seed. There's never been a year where it's like, oh, since they've had Luka. They were the huge underdogs against the Clippers in back-to-back years. Luka played great. One series won 7, the other one 6, I think. And then the other year, they upset the 1 seed en route to the conference finals. Like, there hasn't been a year where the Mavs, where it's like, oh, this style of play works in the regular season, but not in the postseason. Every year, they've played either to or past what their regular season.
I think they had more. They knew their identity more then, because now you got Kyrie, who's great, but everybody else was a role player around Luka in those teams. It was like, Luka, do your thing, and everybody else.
Last year, they didn't even lose a playoff game. So
I said last year.
Well, that was the year they did go below their ability. That's for sure.
Sure, I said that on the front end. Last year was a disaster.
I didn't hear you.
That was to protect them.
Finally, Denver. They lost their second game since the All-Star break. Oh my goodness. Should it be time for me to reconsider my no one is beating Denver in a 7-game series?
No.
Thank you.
No. I mean, they destroyed the Mavs in their first 2 meetings. Jokic had like 30, 14, and 9 in the first game they played, which was a blowout. So it's not like yesterday he had 16 points. It's not like, oh, the Mavs have the answer. All right, he played poorly, and they still took a heroic shot by Kyrie to win that game. So you said it. They've lost 2 games since the All-Star break. You know, no, they're fine. And
one of those games was in overtime to the Suns, and the other game was this one. Here's the question I have for you, Wildes. I think they want the 1 seed.
Yes.
They're, you know what I mean? They're a half, not talking the Celtics, just the 1 seed in the West.
They definitely do.
They definitely do. You've talked about how unbeatable they are at home. They are clearly, they have turned it on post-break, you know, in order to try to get to that. If they want the 1 seed and they fall short of it, will that make you at the tiniest bit concerned? If there is like, hey, this is something we agree they want, they're going to shoot for, they're going to try to get. If they end up not being able to get it, will that at all then make you be like, oh, they might be a touch more vulnerable than I thought?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. Actually, might be good.
Oh, so if they get the 1 seed, it's good, and if they don't, it's good?
Yeah.
Okay, no matter what, it's good? Gotcha.
So he's all in.
Oh, no, he's all in on the night.
Way all in. I mean, just watching the game, like, oh.
Never a doubt?
I got a tattoo on my lower back.
Stop saying Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.